Alrighty friends, we are back on another crosskart video. I may or may not have messed up and didn't buy enough of the things that I needed, but we'll see how far we can get. First things first, new shocks. These are for the rears. I have to figure out how to hook them up. I don't know if I'm going to go into my hub assembly right there or not, because it might put a lot of weight and stress on it and might break it, so we'll have to see. But they are a lot longer, so we're gonna have to move some stuff. Our main issue with needing these is that I don't know if you can see that go all the way down, but that goes almost all the way to the ground. These as a pair are supposed to be 650 pounds, I believe, so you'd think that'd be enough because I don't weigh even close to 650 pounds, but you put the engine in there and it just sits down to the ground. So these as a pair are supposed to be able to hold 1,200 pounds, which I can kind of push them by myself, so hopefully they are actually 1,200 pounds. They didn't come with a little bushing in here, so I might have to get that. But we got a set of those. And then the next thing we got is CV axles. So we can start getting the rear axle together, get the shaft cut that I have. I've already test fit them. They are a little too long, which isn't a big deal. I'll just cut them and I'll throw a sleeve over it to weld it. But the next thing we can do is chop this thing up as well. Hopefully I can weld this. The pieces that I didn't buy are little hub adapters that I can weld into the metal that I'm going to make for the CV axles to connect to that. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do too much with the CV axles, but we'll start by figuring out. I'm going to completely have to make new mounts for that, so that kind of sucks. I kind of like the way those were. Maybe we could just move them down, but we'll have to see. But I mean, enough jibber jabber, or we'll just get into it and see if I know what I'm doing. Alrighty, so I was putting my brackets onto the shock and putting them on there like this. That's a lot wider than the other shocks, and the issue that I'm having is it's mounted up to a piece like this. So you can not see, because my hand's in the way, how much wider it is than the actual thing. So what I think I'm gonna do is take some scrap metal and weld it maybe from like right here over, and then that'll cover the gap, and I can weld it on there, make it solid. That way there's enough gap there so it sits on there, and then it shortens up the gap enough to where I can weld it to that beam and not have an issue, and hopefully the structural integrity isn't messed up with it either. I also just went and got these sleeves because these ones didn't come with any up top, so now we should be good to bolt those on. But I don't know, I think it's gonna work the way I have it set up here, sitting there and there. There should be more than enough room, I'm hoping. I'm hoping. So obviously that's going to be fully welded, but that's my little spacer that I'm doing. This one's that one's a lot hot. So both of them, little spacers. I'm going to fully weld them once I make sure that it's enough space between them. If it's not, I'm going to add an extra one of these to the other side, because with the way the shock sits anyways, it's a little crooked. It's tilted a little forward from being centered, so I'll put it on the back and If it's on the back, it should pull it back a little bit. It's not going to be a dramatic amount, but it might help straighten it out a little bit. But I'm going to let those cool because I can't really work with them right now because they're so hot, and I don't want them to melt the bushing on the shock either. So I'll let those cool down, and then hopefully everything fits the way I want it to. So it sucks, but I'm not going to be able to use these brackets that I made. I'm going to have to make some new ones. I've got some cut out, but our plasma cutter isn't working, so I'm doing it all with a grinder, so it kind of sucks. But I'm not going to record any of it because it's going to be like 3 hours of cutting just because I can't just go with a freaking plasma cutter. I just got to do it how we used to do it, so I'll get that done. Try to make them look as nice as possible. They're kind of going to be like the top brackets on there. Just a single bracket, and it's going to have to sit down by the tire just because of how long these new shocks are. But is what it is. Hello. I have changed my mind on how I am doing things. Oh, I bet that sounded good. That was fun in my eyes, but it's all clean now. So I tried to cut some stuff with the grinder, and all I'm doing is getting it in my eyes and burning myself. So we're going to take my masterpieces here, and I think I'm going to chop it right at this hole. Right at the edge of that, and we'll round the edge. And after we round the edge, I think 2 holes will be enough, and it should sit on there. Hopefully good. Hopefully. We'll just keep quoting hopefully because things aren't going well, but hopefully they get better, and hopefully me cutting these, hopefully I don't have to go back to these, because if I do, I'm going to be a little upset. But we still have those ones on the other side, so if we need to make these again, we can. Also, I still have the template, so I guess we'll cut these up, and hopefully we don't mess them up. So I did forget to show you guys what it looked like while these were hooked up, but it does sag down a little bit, so I'm going to need to move those brackets up, and maybe it'll squish the suspension a little more and help me out. I'm hoping it does, because it sits pretty low in the back when I have it set up the way it is right now. So maybe if I could press them it a little more, it'll sit up a little higher. Won't have as much travel. It'll have more travel down, just not as much travel up, but we shouldn't need that. If it sits close to this, when I'm done, I'll be happy, but I don't think it's gonna. I think we'll just get a little more. I'd say it's like maybe, it's the same as the front, so how much the front's sitting off the ground right there, that's what the back was. And I want the back sitting up a little higher just so it clears a little more with the oil pan being down there and being close to the ground. I don't want to smack that on any rocks, so I'll get those brackets moved up, and I'll actually show you guys what it looks like once I move those up. So now you can kind of see how this is sitting. Like I said, I moved the shocks up from all the way down at the bottom, halfway up. Makes it sit a little nicer. We've noticed that if you sit here, you put a bunch of weight on the back, it still goes down just as far, but it will rebound back, and all the weight's in there that's really going to be in there. I mean, we're going to have coolant and stuff, obviously, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. So for now, the suspension's in good shape. We're looking good there. we were sitting in it and it didn't drop it too much. And I like the way the back's sitting now, so we're all good there. We could probably test fit up some CV axles. Without the plasma cutter or anything, it's going to be kind of hard to make any flanges for that, so I might just end up seeing if I can find some flanges and just drill holes in them, and then they have hub adapters that I can use as well to drill a hole in the back, inset that, and weld it in, and then it'll clamp right onto my axle that I have right here. And when we chop that off, it'll sit right over that because I looked for the right bore and I found it. So that'll be easy. But next thing we'll do is we'll test fit the axles, and I'll show you guys kind of how that's going to sit and what I have to chop to get those fitting right. Alright, I've changed my mind on test fitting the CV axles because obviously they're going to fit and they're going to fit in the hubs. They're going to be too long anyways. We all already know that. So I decided, since the motor's already in there, maybe I can run wires, see where everything sits, see if I can get my controls all the way up front where I want them, because it's going to be shaky for a second. I want my controls to come up and around, maybe through here, run this pipe around here, and then maybe get one to sit on this side with the kill switch and everything, and my blinkers and everything can sit on that side. I don't think there's going to be enough wire to lead it all up there. But we'll route that, see if I can, and then maybe we'll put the ECU and everything in, and maybe we start it while it's in here. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how far I get with that. I'm going to try to do it all, but I don't know if I remember where everything goes. So that's going to be the main challenge here. So obviously I'm gonna have to do something about this so it like looks better, because I think I'm gonna leave the sides open and have like a skid plate on the bottom, so maybe I can run it under the seat at some point. But right now nothing reaches except my stuff for all the blinkers and everything, because this is for the speedometer and the speedometer is gonna sit right up there. So I'm going to have to extend some wires, which isn't really that big of a deal. That just might take a while, but I think what we're going to try to do next is hook everything else up, and maybe we can see if this thing starts. I'll check it for oil and make sure everything's good, but I don't think there's much more to do. I still have the battery, so hopefully it's charged. It's been sitting for a while, but other than that, we don't have many parts left. Like I said, just the ECU, and then there's like a little block in here that needs to be put in for the fuel and everything, and then my airbox. I think we're gonna have to run the airbox no matter what, just because it's got this sensor right here, and I don't know what else we'd be able to do, but it shouldn't be too big. It can just sit on top like it does in the bike and hopefully not look bad. We'll put my radiator up here above my head, and then today we don't have to hook any of the radiator stuff up because it'll run fine without cooling. As long as we don't let it get too hot, we run it for like a minute at most and we'll be fine. But yeah, for the most part I kind of know where everything goes. There's a couple plugs on these ECU wires that I have no idea where they go, and then I need to ground some stuff, so hopefully I can figure out where that stuff goes. So I got everything set up in here. I was thinking about building a new gas tank, but I mean, that doesn't look half bad. It might sit a little lower than that when I'm actually done. But everything's hooked up. We have one issue, It's a pretty big issue to be able to start it, and that would be from this plug right here. Oh, plug in there. That's an important one. That's the ignition. I forgot to take the ignition off the old bike. I think there was a reason, but I can't remember why. Maybe it was JB welded on there, and I was just going to buy a new one anyways, but I completely forgot about that. So, we're kind of at a standstill here, so that kind of sucks. And yeah, it's probably a short video, so I apologize for that. But, got some parts I need to order. I need to find throttle cables. I might need to make my own, just because of how long they need to be. I don't think I'll find the right size. But I'm going to make a parts list, see what I need for that. But I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. This thing's coming along pretty good. I'm really happy how it's turning out right now. But if you guys want to follow along with the content, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like down below if you like the video as well. And say something in the comments. Like I said in all these other videos, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. Not going off blueprints, nothing. So if there's something that you guys might be able to help me out with, I'd appreciate it. So on that note, we'll see you guys next Wednesday.